All right, well, everyone, I'm getting ready to show you how to set up your document for the airfoils to be laser cut. At this point, you should be in Fusion 360, and you should be in your student folder. Let's go ahead and I'm going to create a new file. So I'm going to go File. I'm going to go Save, and I'm going to give this thing a name. I'm just going to call mine Airfoil. Airfoil. There we go. And say OK. And I've saved the Airfoil version 1. Good to go. Don't worry about it over here. I had another one going, so we're just not going to worry about that. All right, the first thing I want to do is to go ahead and bring in an image. To do this, you should already have your airfoil that you submitted in Schoology, that image. Save it to your desktop. It's going to make your life a lot easier. And we're going to come here to this canvas, and then I'm going to insert from my computer. And then go find out where it is. I'm just grabbing this picture that I pulled in from the internet for the demo so y'all can see how to do this. Now you see over here, it says my canvas. It has the file right here, and it's asking me what face to put this on. So I'm going to put this right here on this face here. What I'm looking for, my Z is going up here. I have my green X, or my green Y axis, my red X axis. So this makes this my XY plane. That's the one I want to work off of. So I'm going to click that as my face. It's going to bring up this window. Don't worry about it. Just say OK. And I now have my image in here. Click on the top. It's looking directly at it. And then if I come over here and look at the canvas, I can make it smaller, bigger, or make it visible or not visible. Next thing I'm going to do is create a new sketch. I have my top visible here, and I want to be right on the same facing as my airfoil images. You're going to see this little box show up. Go ahead and click that. And again, I have top viewable right here. If yours is upside down, go ahead and click these arrows over here on the right. And what that's going to allow you to do is to spin this box. So again, I want it so it shows top. I am in the sketching environment now. So the first thing I need to do is set my board up. I create a rectangle, 2-point rectangle, and I'm going to go to this origin spot right here. It's where this y-axis and this x-axis come together. That's my origin spot. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to make this 10-inch. So I was going to drag it out, but not click. 10-inch, 10 space IN, press tab, 10 space IN, press tab, press enter, and I can back out. I now have this 10-inch by 10-inch board. Really cool. All right. The next thing I need to do is the assignment says that my cord length needs to be 6 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a line here. It doesn't really matter where in this box you want to do this. I'm just going to do it right here for now. And I'm going to make this 6 inches. 6 inches. Press enter. I now have this reference line, which is really, really cool. And then I'm going to right click on it and just turn it into a construction line. So it doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Leaving this open, or actually at this point, I'm going to go ahead and finish my sketch. Come over here to my sketches, open this up, and I'm going to rename this board. That way I know where it's at, my sketches. Here we go. Now I need this image, which you can see is way too small, to match this line right here for my cord length. So I'm going to go ahead and select it inside the canvas. That's again the image that we brought in. I'm going to edit the canvas. And then I'm going to come up here and make these things bigger. I can move this around and ultimately keep scaling this up until everything seems to match. For what we're doing, we're just going to allow this to be visual. It does not have to be absolutely perfect, but we're going to be pretty close. Like this looks pretty close to me. Yeah, it looks really close. There's my lead edge. There's my tail edge. So I'm pretty happy with this. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. I'm happy with this. Now that my image is scaled to the right size, I can go ahead and draw this thing out. I'm going to come back to my board here. I'm going to right click, edit sketch. And this is now going to allow me to draw on here. Now, if you have a flat side to your wing, or to your airfoil, I mean, then you have the straight line tool. If you have curves, like you should probably with the at least the top surface, then you have this thing called a spline tool. Now, I'm going to use both because I have a flat and a curve to this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my spline tool. I'm going to zoom in so we can see what we're doing. I just use the mouse wheel for that. I'm going to start my point right here. I'm going to come out to this point right here. And then as I start to move this around, you can see it's rounding off that front nose for me. So I'm kind of happy on this part here. I'm going to click, and I'm just going to keep creating my curve around this. And again, at this point, we're really just trying to get it close. We can make slight adjustments as we need to. I think I kind of like this. Not too bad. Press enter. And there is that top curve. If I need to move any of these lines, I can come here and make slight adjustments if I need to. I can also grab the handles here and move things around a little bit if I need to. And ultimately, I now have this curved line across the top, which I'm happy with. I want to go ahead and finish the bottom off here. So I'm going to grab my straight line tool because it looks like this is a straight line and that's the straight line. I'm going to come right here, and when I get over top of this point, you see this little blue box that's showing up right around this dot. That means I'm on an endpoint. I can click on that endpoint. I'm going to come over here to where I want this to kind of end this line. I'll click and click. There we go. And then I'm going to come up here until I get that box again, which is going to close off this area. I now have my profile of my wing done, or I mean my airfoil. There's a couple other things I want you to add to it before we start making multiple copies of this. And that is, we're going to put ribs through this, or this being the rib, the airfoil is going to be the rib. We need to put spanning pieces in here to help kind of connect everything together. It gives us a way to glue this. My suggestion is to come up here to rectangle, use a 2-point rectangle, pick somewhere in here, don't get too close to the edge, and go ahead and click. And you're going to want your, I'm going to go with my horizontal, and I'm going to make that 0.25, so it's a 1/4 inch. And then for my up and down, I'm going to make it, my board's an 1/8 inch thick, so I'm going to make it an 1/8 inch thick. I can just go 1/8 inch. Doesn't like that. That's allowing me to do 1 point, which is also 0.125. But you can see I now have my dimensions in here, and I have the square. I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and select these points. Hold down the Shift key while I'm selecting them. I'm going to press Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and I'm going to go ahead and move another set down here. Then I have it right here. I kind of like that spot. There's no real super rhyme or reason to this. So there we go. Now, this is what get me from one wing to another, but ultimately we're going to have these spanning boards that need to connect to another board. So we'll have an overlap, which means we need another set of these holes. And we'll use one pair for one set of airfoils, and we'll use another one when we have to change our different connecting boards. This will make a lot more sense when we actually do this. Start building it. So I press Control V again. I'm pasting. I'm just going to move this thing. I'm going to do them all kind of in the same general area. I'm going to do this one here. I'm happy with that. I'm going to Control V again. I'm going to move this one. I'll move this one down here. Yeah, I think I'm happy with something like that. I'll say okay. So ultimately, when I'm doing my wing, I'm gonna move my mouse over top so you can see all the holes here. When I'm on my wing here, I will use this hole here and maybe this hole here at one time. And then when I go to my opposite set, I'll use this one here and this hole over here. And again, this will make a lot more sense. Once we have this done, I'm going to go ahead, zoom out a little bit. I'm going to get rid of this dimensioning line. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to select all of this. Now you're going to see I actually selected the box as well. I'm going to hold shift down and deselect it because I don't need that. Control C for copy. Control V to paste. Well, that didn't work right. Let's try again. I want all this. I do not want this. So I have all these parts, which I'm happy. Control C to copy. Control V. Again. Let's just do the move here. Create a copy. This is just another way to do the same thing. And then it has my everything selected. Just go ahead and move this up. And there they are. If I want to get these things a lot tighter, which is what we're going to want to do, I can rotate these things. Yeah, rotate about 180 degrees. And then I can start to really drop these things in nice and tight. Where's that out? There it is. I can do something like that. Ultimately, again, we're trying to get as many of these things on here. What your target is going to be is to get 12 of these airfoils on one board. So inside your 10 by 10, you're going to need to get 12 of them. And you're going to need to get probably about 6 of the little strips that you're going to want to cut out, which again, I did mine at 1/2 inch. So I would come here, do my rectangle, 2-point. I'm just going to start down here somewhere. Click. And I am going to do mine at 0.25. 0.25 inch. And I think for the length, I'm going to go with 9 inches. It's probably going to be the best thing for us. 9 inches. Enter is probably off the board. Nope, I'm inside the board. I'm happy. Which does bring me to one other point. I'm going to select these 4 real quick. Hold down the shift, get these lines. So these things in here, do not get too close to this edge. Ultimately, our boards are not exactly 10 by 10. Sometimes they get a little bit bigger. Sometimes they get a little bit smaller. So try to stay off this edge a little bit. I'm going to press the M, which is move. I already have them selected. I'm just going to grab this dot. I'm going to move it up a little bit. And I'm happy with that. So there is how you create your airfoils. Again, use the shape. Use the holes, or create the holes in here, and create the spanners. You want a minimum of 12 of these on the board. You want this piece here, 9 inches. And once I'm happy with everything, I can click Finish Sketch. I can hide my canvas, and you're starting to be able to see your board built. But again, get more of these on here. Other than that, hit save, and let me know if you have any questions.